Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Jonesin 4 show. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for listening, watching, whatever you are doing. I truly appreciate you. And today we are going to make your day better almost instantly. How? Because we have an amazing guest with us today, an Olympian nonetheless, one who is going to show you and teach you how you can have an Olympic lifestyle, right? Live your life to the max, in the Olympic way. So let me present my good friend, the adorable, the amazing Tasha Danvers. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, thank you for having me, Sir Spencer Jones. It's a pleasure. And hello to all of you that are out there now listening. Awesome, I love it.
So you are a two-time Olympian and bronze medalist. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's what I thought. I remember you telling me and me seeing. And so you competed in the 2000 and 2008 Olympics, right?
Yes, exactly. You've been doing your Googling well.
Google paid off. Yes, I love it. And stalking, that helps too a little bit,
Google University, I love it. I am a graduate of Google University.
I love it. Now, I know the answer to this, but I would love to hear from you. What events did you participate in specifically?
Yes, so I actually was born and raised in the United Kingdom. I came here in 1996 to run track for USC, the University of Southern California, and they recruited me as a hurdler. So I did, at that time, before I came to the US, I was a sprint hurdler. So I did the 100-meter hurdles, but they saw my legs and they're like, no, we have something else planned for you. And so I ended up doing the 400-meter hurdles instead. So after winning NCAA championships in the 400-meter hurdles, I then went on to the 2000 Olympics, was my first Olympics in the same event, the 400-meter hurdles. I skipped Athens because I had my son in 2004. And then in 2008, when my son was about 3 or 4, I got the bronze medal in the 400-meter hurdles.
That is incredible. So, I mean, you took a year off because of an Olympics off for your son, which is incredible. But then you came back after that, nonetheless, and placed and earned a medal. That is absolutely incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's so amazing to see someone, because you think of Olympians, their prime condition, and then as life goes on, sometimes they get stronger, sometimes they don't. But you proved to get stronger and kept pushing yourself to improve, and then obviously compete and earn a bronze medal, which is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, when I went to 2000 Olympics, I wasn't ever really one of those people who, like, since I was a kid, I saw someone and I just decided at that moment it just grew because I, best at my school, best in the city, best in the country. And it just kind of grew. It was like the next thing. But when I went to the 2000 Olympics, it was my first time ever making a major championship final. And I got that taste in my mouth. So when I had my son, he wasn't planned. I never planned to have my son in an Olympic year. So I still had the desire to go after my goal, which was to get on the podium. So I'd made the final in 2000, but I wanted to upgrade. I want some hardware. Right. So my goal was to then get on the podium. And when I had my son, lots of people were like, oh, well, let's write Tasha off. Let's look for the next, the next up and coming and forget about. And I was just like, no, I still had that dream. And also I didn't want my son to think that he was the reason I never pursued my dream. So it was important for me to still, after having my son, pursue my dream. And I don't regret it. It was tough, but obviously no regrets. So now I have my son and my medal. Thank you.
Yeah, you got best of both worlds right there.
Absolutely.
So we'll talk about that in just a little bit, of getting both of best of both worlds in that sense. But talk to us a little bit about your background. So you were born and raised in the UK, then you got recruited here. Talk to us a little bit about your bringing up there and sports, and a little bit about you, and then coming over.
So when I was coming up, I'm 43, so things were very different when I was coming up. My parents were both sporty. My mom actually did the high jump and the javelin. My dad was a hurdler. And so, I definitely toyed with the idea of being a multi-eventer because I'm actually quite good at other events also. But when I was about 15 or 14, I was training with a coach. And for some reason, he said I had to specialize. at, at 14 years old, I got to make a decision. I'm like,
Wow.
it's not gymnastics. So if I had it to do over, I would have done more. Like I recommend children do as much as they can, try out different things because you just never know. So with that, I then started to do the sprint hurdles, and there's different levels for the age groups, and I actually like skipped some age groups because I just had such a long inseam already. It was like so hard to fit my little steps into the space. So I was getting better and better. Like I said, I was winning in school and winning. And at first I was doing the 100 meters and I was like, yeah, because, everyone wants to do the 100. You want to be the star in the glory event. And my
Right.
dad kept saying, do the hurdles, do the hurdles. Like, hey, shoot. Lo and behold.
Right.
So from there, I started competing in Europe for the United Kingdom. And that's when I was scouted by university. So I got offers from, I think, Harvard, Iowa State, Iowa, and USC. And I'd never heard of USC. So, and in my country at that time, you didn't go to American universities because as far as we're concerned, American universities chew you up and spit you out because they didn't really understand the system. They see these fabulous, amazing people in college and then they disappear. But they don't realize that a lot of people had no intentions of ever taking their career beyond college. They got it, they did it to get a scholarship. So it's a completely different mentality. And so they were always pushing the message that don't go to universities in America, it will ruin your career. And so when I got the invitation from University of Southern California, I put it in the bin.
Interesting.
I was like, trash. And my cousin came over to the house and she was like, excuse me, what is that in the bin? And she had heard of UCLA and she, like her thing, she loved UCLA. She wanted to go to UCLA. And I was like, oh, just one of these things. This guy gave me this prospectus thing when I was competing in Europe, but I'm not doing that. They burn you out and ruin your career. She was like, are you nuts? Dug that thing out of the bin. And long story short, I ended up signing with USC and the rest is history. I would do it again and again and again. I love the fact that, there's some things that are just like fate. And had she not saw that thing in the bin, I may never have been where I am today. So it's just crazy how things work. But I'm so glad that I did that. So my parents are Jamaican, but I did still compete for United Kingdom. And that's really how my sports career went. Once I got to USC, things were very different because in the United Kingdom at the time, they didn't have like sports universities. And so it was a real struggle to do my education and try and balance that with going to training at 7 o'clock in the evening, freezing cold. So as I looked more into the idea of going to American university, it was like, you mean I can do my classes and go to practice and do more classes in the evening and the teachers will understand? Yes, there's a thing called a student athlete. Oh, sign me up. So,
Nice.
so that was really awesome. And I'm just really pleased and I love my university and I love that I made that decision. I think it really contributed to the athlete that I am today. Well, I was when I was still running, that I became, I should say.
That's amazing. It's incredible how life gives you those little things or big things in your life, like your friend seeing it in the bin and saying, well, what are you doing? Try this. And that altered your direction totally, right?
Absolutely.
Where it was. And, even your son and having your son and then coming over that, but what people could see as a struggle, right? To compete again. That's huge. And then, learning that, heck, American universities, some are good, some aren't good, like the ones all around the world, I would assume, that, there's such a thing as a student athlete and you can have the best of both worlds for the most part and participate in that. That's incredible.
Yes. So I don't regret anything.
So how did you, well, that's good. Live with no regrets, right? Just
exactly.
why do that? So let me ask you this. Let's get into a little bit of the nitty gritty and then we'll go into more of the life aspect of it.
Yeah.
How did you train for the Olympics? You're a student athlete. Were you a student at that time when you competed in the Olympics?
When I was at the 2000 Olympics, I was still studying. So I'd taken off, I think it was 99. I'd taken a semester off because my cousin passed away. And then in 2000, I took another semester off because of the games. I was like, there's just no way these two are going to go together. So I still had education to finish once I got back from the games.
Gotcha.
So, but it's people think that student athletes get an easy ride, like everyone's making concessions for them. But
Right.
I guess I can't speak for all sports, but the work and the effort and the time scheduling and balance, the things that you have to try and put together. I was just speaking about this with my partner recently. People just don't get it. They think it's easy. They think people get an easy ride. But, when you are traveling on a bus for hours
Mhm.
and everyone's making noise and it's Friday evening and you're not going to get back till Sunday night and you have an assignment that's due on Monday morning and you haven't really had a lot of time to get into it because you've been managing all your other classes, plus you've been traveling. And teachers will say stuff like, why didn't you do it on the bus or on the plane? I'm like, do
Mhm.
you understand the environment I'm in? And so it can be really challenging. And then by the time you've finished all the competing with all your emotions up and everything that comes with that, you're exhausted by the time you get back. But no, you've got to stay up all night or whatever to make sure that things get done. So being a student athlete may look very glamorous, but there's a lot of work that has to go into that. This is just a lot of work being an athlete in general, but being a student athlete, trying to balance those two things and maintain at a high level. That's why there's a lot of athletes need the extra tutoring and things like that. This is very, very difficult, especially if you've come from like high school and now you have to manage all this stuff
Right.
on your own. Your adulting starts.
But I never thought about it quite like that before. I mean, I was a teacher for 9 years, middle school and high school, their choir, and I had students who were student athletes and competed. I know high school is very different than college,
Yeah,
but still, I remember them saying, "Oh, they struggle to get this assignment done or this
yeah,
project done, or
yeah,
whatever." And part of me goes like, "Well, why couldn't you do that on the bus?" But
right,
I also need to remember that everybody does it differently. While I might be able to do something and block people out and focus in and zone in on what I need to do, not everyone can do that, right?
yeah,
Especially as a high
yeah,
schooler, right? I mean, that's even harder
yeah,
because you're still learning
yeah.
those different
Yeah,
skills.
and when you see this, what the sports type of buses are like,
Right.
it's like card games and jokes and people not leaving you alone. Nobody's, it's really difficult. And when you are trying to study for something that's part of your degree, it's serious. You have to be able to focus. And traveling in and of itself can be exhausting,
Right. Oh,
taking your
totally.
bags here and a 2 hour ride here and you're uncomfortable. And then you have to get on the plane, get off that plane, get on another bus. And I mean, and you're all squeezed in like this sometimes. Like, how you go study what? you
Right.
know, like, you know. So, so I just think it's hard for people to have that perspective, but it does take work. It does take work, and you're young at that time. You think you've grown,
Right.
but you're young. You're through 18 to 20, 22 or so, whatever, and you're still figuring out life and how to manage these things. So um, it's a good life experience, is what it is.
Oh, huge life experience right there. I
Yeah,
think a takeaway from that is if you're a teacher or someone who has student athletes of whatever level, be kind, be understanding with them, and be gracious. Understand
right,
that they are struggling or working through things. What
right.
advice would you give the student athlete who's listening, who's trying to balance all these different things? What advice can you offer them?
I would always reach out. I would have mentors. Looking back now, I would want to position myself with mentors, people who have been there and done it.
Mhm.
Having other senior figures, role models who you can lean into and tell them about what you're experiencing. Are you struggling with your studies and balance right now? Because they've gone through it and they'll be able to give you advice on how to manage these things. Because as an athlete, there's a whole different process that you have to go through. Like a regular student might be able to say, okay, the assignment was set here, it's due here. If I do a chapter a day, I'm good. An athlete, you can't do a chapter a day. Your deadline needs to be here, somewhere
Right.
in the middle, because you're not going to have any time once this hits. Once this day hits, you will have zero time. So where the other students have 6 weeks to finish, you need to finish in 3 weeks, because otherwise, once that season hits, you're not going to be working at your highest capacity. You're not going to be working at what you're really capable of. And then that could be challenging, because now you have to do that for all your classes, not just one class.
Right.
So having somebody who is in a mentor role, and it's kind of cool because I just got asked by USC to be a mentor for a student athlete. They try and get, just people who've been through the school, who are doing well, to come back, and not just with athletes, just with students in general, to come back and just give them guidance. And I think, don't wait for someone to say, do you need a mentor? Go out and see if you can find that, or ask someone in a senior position, maybe your coach or a teacher, if there's anyone who would be willing to mentor you. Because no need to try and figure it out on your own. Many, 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 many athletes have come before you, and they have the information that you need. So just tap into it.
So be willing to take that step and ask for the help. Ask for someone who's been there before, who can help guide you and mentor you.
Exactly. If you ask anybody who's been successful in life, they will agree that being able to ask for help is a strength. And that goes across the board. I don't care if you're in business. I don't care if you're a mother, a father. I don't care what profession you're in. Being able to humble yourself enough to ask for help is a strength. It's not a weakness. And often people see, I don't need anybody, and they think that it's a strength to be able to do stuff on your own, and it's not. It's not a strength to just be able to conquer the world on your own. That's why there's so many people. I mean, if we were supposed to figure everything out on our own, we'd all have been made on separate islands doing our own thing. We're on the planet together.
You're dead on. People struggle with that concept that it's not just you. It's a community effort, right? You need to have that community. You need to have it. And there's not you against the world. It's you and your mentors helping you, and it's okay to ask for help. Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. It's okay. Ask.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, even with what you do, that is a way of tapping into help. That is, maybe people can't physically get to you, but tapping into your programs, tapping into your information is a way of getting help too. So don't try and figure stuff out on your own. Find ways. If you can't get to the person you feel like you need help, see if there's other ways, like listening to your podcast and things like that, that will allow them to continue to elevate. But of course, if you can get one-on-one time with someone, having that accountability and that insight is invaluable.
I love that. One-on-one time is probably the creme a la creme, the top. But then you have, podcasts, the videos, the books that they've written, communities, right, that they have. So let me ask this question to you then. Who have you learned from? Who are your mentors, and what do you what do you surround yourself with?
The easier one to answer is, who haven't I learned from? I am an addict of personal development, Spencer. An addict, help me.
Dude, I'm right there with you, so we might be on the same struggle bus.
Right. Seriously, dude. Everybody, Jack Canfield, Tony Robbins. I think Tony Robbins was probably the first one that I really started to properly, when they had this humongous box of tapes, and you like open it like something from a movie, Lord of the Rings or something. That is how long I've been studying this. I used to get Eckhart Tolle, Oprah. I'm looking at a lot of Russell Brunson stuff now because of the business aspect of things, but I am always absorbing information. I'm always trying to see what's better. Jose Silva, all kinds of stuff, especially, like Dr. Joe Dispenza, who really focuses on the mind. The more I learned about sport, the more I recognized the power of the mind, and just not sport, life in general. And so one of my main focuses is mindset. And there's always a thread of that throughout pretty much every personal development guru or whoever. There's always a thread of that there. And that's really something I always want to impress upon people, is that it starts here.
Your mind is so powerful, and you're right, it starts in your mind because that fuels everything else, right? It leads everything else. You have to have your mind right, your mindset right. Otherwise everything else is not going to turn out the way you would hope it would, because your mind is not in the right place.
Yes, indeed.
So with personal development, thinking about your personal development journey so far, what has been one or two of the biggest takeaways you have had from personal development over the years?
My first realization of how this whole personal development was impacting me was when I looked back. So I was like, it's very interesting. So with the Olympics, let's take the Olympics. Prior to that, I had been tapping into people who had been there and done that. And I had a conversation with a woman called Sally Gunnell. She was the gold medalist in the 1992 Barcelona Olympics in my event. So
Nice.
I went to talk to her because I want to be a champion in exactly what she did. And one of the things that she said to me, that it was 80% mental and 20% physical. Now that 80% is huge.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
a bigger number than I would have anticipated.
exactly. And she has the gold. So inquiring minds want to delve further into this whole thing, right? So
Right.
she told me that she would picture herself every single day, twice a day, in every single lane,
Wow.
right? She would picture people passing her and her staying calm. She would picture all these different scenarios. And she said by the time she got to the games, it felt like she'd been there. There was no like anxiety and all this kind of stuff, because it felt like she had been there. And so prior to 2008, I started picturing, probably not as much as she did, if I'm honest, but I started using my mind more as a tool in the process. Now, there came a time where things were not going my way. Like if I was just of the mindset that what I'm experiencing is my reality, I would have quit, because it didn't make sense. There's no way, based on what I was seeing and experiencing, injuries just nonstop and not running well, not performing well. There was nothing about my experience that said, this is going to be a good year for you, right? I would have quit. But because I understood that what I was experiencing at that point was a result of past thoughts, I could choose to maintain the correct mindset now and not take what I'm seeing as what the end result would be. I could still have the opportunity to create a different end result from where it looked like this was going. And so I was picturing myself, and I think what really hit me was when I went to the Olympic trials. So the Olympic trials, I've been running, am I allowed to say crap on here? But I've been running crap all year. Okay, you can bleep that out. But I gotta say
It's all good. All good.
I had been running so terrible because there was all sorts of things going on. I kept getting injured. And then I got to the Olympic trials, and that was it. This is it. This is my last opportunity to prove to the selectors that I am a valid choice for the team. Now, there's another girl. She's younger than me, up and coming, the next best thing. And she's running well. She's actually running better than I'm running. But they have what's called an A standard and a B standard for the Olympic game qualification. Now, if someone has the A standard and another person has the A standard, you can take them both to the games. But if one person has the A standard, me, and one person has the B standard, her, you have to pick which one you're going to take. So they couldn't take us both. Now I go to the Olympic trials and I lose to her, right? So I'm looking like, oh, well, Why would they pick me? She's been performing all year. But something still says to me, do not mentally give up.
Right.
And so I continue to visualize myself. I used what I had left. I knew that the choice was out of my physical hands because I couldn't go back and run the race again. I had lost, right? But I knew there's still power in thought. There's still power in continuing my process. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to still train like I'm going. I'm still going to think like I'm going. Would picture myself in the Olympic final, crossing the line, pointing to my coach and doing all the, right?
Right.
And I had this song that I would play to like really get my energy up and get my vibration, heightened. And it was actually a Busta Rhymes and Linkin Park song. And the lyrics would go, together we made it even though we had our backs up against the wall. And there was even a lyric in there about hurdling over stuff. I'm like, hey, this is
Nice.
great for me. So I was doing that for a whole week because the championships were the decision about who was going to be on the team. There was a week between the two. So I did that for the whole week. And then I got the phone call and the team manager were like, are you sitting down? I'm like, do I need to? And like, well, just to let you know, you are selected. And just going through that process and then getting into the games, I felt a lot of what I had envisioned while I was preparing. So I know for a fact that it worked. And then I look back at my life during the times when I had suffered from severe depression. I was on antidepressants and all this kind of stuff. And I looked at the thinking that led to that point. And like, even with my contract, I had a contract with a apparel company, and I was hoarding my sneakers. We call them trainers in England, but in America, I was hoarding my sneakers because I'm like, they might drop me. And soon after I started hoarding my sneakers, they cut my contract. And I started looking at there's a pattern in how I was thinking and how I was feeling and what was manifesting in my life. So I know from experience, I'm a 100% believer. And no, you don't even have to believe me. Go look up Dr. Joe Dispenza and the studies that he's done, and you will see that energy, feeling, thought, visualization. I actually don't call it visualization. I call it realization. So when I work with people, we do realization, because visualization is, the definition is creating a mental image. But when you really want to manifest something, you need feeling behind it, right? It can't just be images. I could like pick this thing up. It's an image, but it's not doing anything. It's not generating any energy behind it. So right. I call it realization, because realization, the definition of realization is becoming aware of something as an actual fact. So when you are creating, when you are trying to create and draw into your experience something that you desire, you need to be aware of it as an actual fact. It needs to feel real. So I will do realization because I'm creating something that's real. And when I get up, I'm still going to carry that aura that this is the reality, right? And it can be hard, because if you're believing for and realizing for like increased abundance, and as soon as you get up from the thing, the bill collector calls you, it's hard to stay in a heightened state of manifestation. But the power, it's like sports. You train your mind like a little puppy. It's always going to try and run off and do its own thing. You've got to keep training it, sit, 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 until as soon as you say sit, it's back. And until the point where as soon as you walk in the door, it knows to behave itself and sit down. And that really, there is so much power in being the master of your mind. And if the foundation of mastering your mind is laid first, it's much easier to build everything on top of it. And not only build it, but have it be sustainable. Because we can build a lot of things without working on our minds, but they're not always sustainable, because the minute something happens beyond our control or that we weren't expecting, or an obstacle, the whole thing collapses in on itself, because there's not that mental strength, there's not that understanding of how powerful our thoughts are during those difficult times. in that process. And so I am very passionate, as you can see, about the mindset. I could go all day, Spencer, all day. Okay. So you better start me right now because I will go all day.
Hey everyone, Spencer Jones, and I'm sorry to butt in like this, but I'll keep this really short and sweet. I want to help you live your life to the max. I want to help you chase your passions to get the most out of life. And I wrote a book to help you do that. It's my latest book. It's called Chase Your Passions. It's available on Amazon, and I know it can help you change your life and help you live your life to the max. Basically, in the book, I walk you through how to create the ultimate roadmap to success. Whatever that success looks like for you, it walks you through it. Everybody has a different roadmap because everybody's dream, everybody's goal is different. So everybody's roadmap is going to be different. But this book helps you, guides you in creating your personal roadmap to success. So folks, don't delay. Get on Amazon and just look up Chase Your Passions. I put Spencer Jones in there too, just to be safe, so it pulls up right away. Or go to my website, spencermjones.com, and get your copy of it today. And heck, get the Priorities of Practice journal with it, because that companion journal, that makes it that much sweeter. All right, folks, thanks for listening. I told you I'd keep it short and sweet. Catch you soon. You know what, we're actually going to keep mindset because this is such a great topic. And, I didn't plan exactly where this conversation was going, but I love the fact this is taken because it does help you have a better life, right? Helping you have
Absolutely.
that Olympic lifestyle as we're talking about.
Absolutely.
When I was training for my half Ironman, and it's nothing compared to the Olympics, I was working with Ted McDonald, and he was my coach, and we worked on visualization, but it was kind of the same thing
Yeah.
as you were doing, because we were talking about, okay, as I'm riding, think about that finish line, or running. What does that
Yeah.
finish line look like? What do the transitions look like? Visualize it. Put
Absolutely.
yourself through the paces, but not only visualize it in your mind, like,
Feel
what
it.
does it feel like? What
Yes.
does it smell like? What is, like, embrace
Yeah.
every single component of it and put yourself there.
Yeah.
And so then in race day, it's not unfamiliar totally, but also then, like, on the bike ride, right, 56-mile bike ride, at a point, if I'm struggling, I can go back to a point in all my training rides, all my training that I've done, where I was struggling, but I pushed through, and I could use that visualization. So it's kind of connecting both what I did
Exactly.
before along with my visualization realization. I love the fact that you use realization instead. I think I'm going to transition over to start using that.
Yes, I'm
Such a
telling
great
you.
term.
I'm like, because I'm just thinking, the more I thought about it, I'm like, realization is a more appropriate term for what we're doing if we are incorporating. I think that's why a lot of people struggled with The Secret, because some people had amazing, fantastic results with The Secret, the movie and book by Rhonda Burns.
Mm.
And then on the other hand, some people were not getting any results at all. It's because the people that were getting results, even unbeknownst to them, some of them were actually in the feeling process of it, where the others were just looking at pictures of things they wanted, and there was no real energy behind it. So when you use the word realization, because the definition is becoming aware of something as an actual fact, there's more energy and there's more feeling behind that, because it's a fact. It's now, it's this, it's not just a picture. And so I just started using that term. Thank you. You're welcome, everybody.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's so
to,
good.
to
Uh,
really encompass what I'm trying to get across when we're talking about manifesting the results that we want. So you, my brother from another mother, now that I know you, you've been doing all the good feeling work.
It's amazing how, when you get to, and I'm nowhere near an elite athlete by any means, but once you get to know elite athletes like yourself and others, and people who are successful in life, whether athletes or business or whatever, that mindset is one of the things that is universal, right?
Yeah.
Our friend Tony Horton, right?
Yes.
He's very successful. He has that right mindset. And you can look at Tony Robbins and how many other people, they
Yeah.
have that mindset. And I'm of the belief, and I'll just get really philosophical. The Jonesin 4 Tri members know this if they've listened to or watched this before. I believe that we are energy beings, right? We are
Oh,
built
yes.
energy, and that you need to fuel yourself with this energy, and you're able to produce the vibrations, those energies,
Yes.
by looking at pictures, but it doesn't, that's a small part of it, but then you need to fully embrace it and increase that energy level. And that's what you're talking about with
Yes. Yes.
the realizations. You're giving it the energy, and making that happen. You're sending out those vibrations to the world to
Absolutely.
call it in and to make it real. And, as a person who didn't believe in any of this stuff before, thought it was absolute hogwash and whatever. But once, that was years ago, and now doing the work and getting closer and doing it more and more, it is
Yeah.
so true and so real. I want everybody to start doing it because it can
Yeah.
change your life.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you said doing the work, because a lot of people, they may get a picture of their dream house and they think about it and look at the picture for about a week. And when the house doesn't appear, or the
Right.
realtor says they don't have enough for the deposit, they just throw the whole baby out with the bathwater and they say, well, this stuff doesn't work. It works, but you have to work it. The plan works when you work the plan. And if you put yourself in the environment where you're doing it on a consistent basis, then you can start to manifest results. But everything doesn't happen instantaneously for everyone. I definitely would never put in someone's mind that things cannot happen instantaneously. They absolutely can, but don't always expect that they will, because it depends on you. It depends on how deeply other beliefs are ingrained into you. What do you need to release? What do you need to let go of? What do you need to stop believing? What do you need to undo? Are there any spiritual blocks that you may need to clear? There can be lots of things that may slow the process of you seeing manifestation, but your the world of energy, the world of source, the world of manifestation, and if you're spiritual, the spiritual realm, like you said, it all works on energy, but its ability to come through us and allow us to, demonstrate what's possible comes from our ability to stay in the right energy, to stay in the right mindset. And if our conscious mind is not in the right place, it's harder for what's within us to come through us, because we have this, it's almost like a filter, right?
Mhm.
So if you have a negative mindset and you have a negative process, the good, the positive that's trying to come and express itself through you is hampered and hindered because your conscious mind is not in the right place. So the work of learning how to stay in a positive mindset and learning how to position the way that you think, the way that you speak. And even I speak to my mentors and I think, yeah, man, I'm the most positive person on planet Earth. What are you talking about? And my mentors will go, and I'm like, man, I didn't even know I said that. So it's always good to, like, as you're doing the work, to have people around or be coached or have a mentor that is listening out and paying attention to the way that you are processing and thinking and talking about things, because we don't always see, you know, the basic things that we just say every day as
Exactly.
necessarily not to our benefit. And so having that process in place is really, really useful. And I love that you mentioned people like Tony Horton, people like Tony Robbins, because what people see, they think that Tony is successful because, oh, he's just got a great personality. Of course he's going to be successful. But he worked on him. He was not that guy to
Right.
begin with. He worked on his mindset. He worked on becoming and creating the man that he is today. The same with Tony Robbins. He was not that guy to begin with. And he started doing NLP and he made a decision. This is what he was gonna create a different life for himself. But if you look at his history, by all intents and purposes, he shouldn't be the guy he is today. He had a terrible, childhood.
Right.
He can have all the excuses in the world, but he decided to change, to renew his mind. And through that, he is who he is today. And that is a possibility for everyone. We are all here with something that we're supposed to offer into this world. And we have the ability to do it at whatever is our highest potential, whatever is the success for us, whatever is, our calling. So it could be someone's calling that they bring to the world beauty because they do people's hair, right?
Mhm.
And that is the highest energy for them because they're making people feel beautiful, they're feeling fulfilled. So what I'm saying in saying that is that it doesn't have to, everybody doesn't is not going to be Tony Robbins, everybody's not going to be Tony Horton or Oprah or Richard Branson, but in your space You're going to be who you need to be at your highest potential if you do the work. And I just love that you said that.
I love everything that you're saying with it. That, but especially the one that if you choose to do it, right? If you choose to do it, then you put in the work and you can see it, and that you surround yourself with mentors, with people who can help you out. I know for me, I had a mentor who was helping me with my conducting, which actually turned out to be much more philosophical than anything, like
Right,
fire conducting, and turned philosophical. And I learned so much from him on a different side of life, which actually turned me
right.
on to this whole energy thing and all of that.
Yes,
But if you don't have those people to help you and just make you realize those things, you would never know. So let me
yes.
ask you this question real quick. And I doubt it's going to be a quick answer, but uh, if people choose to be at their highest level, whatever that is, and I love that you said that, their highest level, no matter what that is, because we're all impacting others and improving others,
Right.
you have to do the work. But
Yeah.
as you said, it's like training a puppy. How do you put in the work? What is the work? Okay, we talked about it, but what is it? How do people do it?
I love this question because I'm just gonna say it flat out. It used to piss me off when personal development people would say, you just have to believe. Well, I don't believe. I don't believe I can achieve that. So where am I gonna just muster this belief from out of thin air?
Right.
And then they just go to straight to the next step. Well, you believe and then you take action. I can't get past step one. I don't believe. And so what recently, well, not recently, but what came to me over time is I realized that there are tools to build your belief. If you look at, like, say, someone like Bruce Lipton, he says that beliefs are just thoughts that you've had over and over. Where did they come from? They came from your experiences, or they came from your parents, they came from culture, they came from whatever is going on in your environment that made you come to this conclusion that was a thought that you had over and over and over, and that became a belief. But what if you decided to have a different thought over and over? Could you
Right.
create a new belief? And so that's the beginning stages of what you're asking. That's the beginning stages of how do you do the work. First, you have to identify the beliefs that you have that are not serving you, right? So when I finished track and field, I had the belief that I was not business savvy. So if I wanted to do anything in business, I had to hire someone, get someone to come up with the ideas. There's no business savvy in me. Where did I get that idea from? I don't even know where I get that idea. My mom is one of the most amazing business people I've ever met. I've been around her all my life, but because I wasn't doing any business, I literally just got up, did my job, like, track and field training, came home, rinse, repeat.
Right.
So if there was any contracts or anything business wise, there was always a manager or agent or someone dealing with that. So I just made this decision that I wasn't good at business. That belief doesn't serve me today because I'm not an athlete anymore and I need to progress as a businesswoman. So I had to identify the fact that that is an energy, because thoughts are energy. That energy is repelling what I want to bring into my life.
Mhm.
So how can I then create a new belief? First of all, there's power in affirmations because the words have power. So
Yeah.
you can start with basics. And I say to people, I know, Jack Canfield and people like that will say to you, say it in a positive present tense. And I agree with that. And as if it's so. Some people find that very challenging when they are first beginning out with their affirmations. So I may tweak it for them until they grow into it. Don't stay there forever because it could hold you back. But say, for example, you're like, I'm not business savvy. Instead of, if you need to progress into it, instead of just saying I'm business savvy, because in your heart you really don't believe it, you can say, I may not be business savvy right now, but I can learn how to be.
Mhm.
And that feels right? That feels okay with you. And you can say, I can learn how to be. I'm learning how to be. Every day I'm learning more and more about how to be more business savvy. I learn one little thing every day that makes me even more business savvy, until you're doing so much stuff in that realm, you are business savvy. You can now say, you know what, I am business savvy. I've learned so much. I'm more business savvy than I was before. And you can start developing that affirmation. So you start with affirmations. You can start with affirmations using the power of words, using the energy of thought. And then once you have that, you can start doing things like what we're talking about, realization, because it's like It's like Halloween when you're doing realization. You have what you think you are, really. And then on Halloween, you put on this outfit. So when you're doing a realization session, you're putting on the outfit of who you are intending to become. And now your body can identify with that energy. And when you are identifying with that energy in the body, now you're attracting like energy to make that become a reality, right? So feelings are the language of the body, thoughts are the language of the mind. So you need more than thought, you need the feeling to help create that circumstance. So that those are just some basic things that you can begin to do to start shifting into that space of doing the work. Then behind that, as you start to build on your affirmations, build on your beliefs, recreate, identify old beliefs that are not serving you, creating new beliefs, doing your realization. Now you're going to start taking action in the physical realm,
Right.
that matches who you are when you're sitting in your meditation, when you're sitting in your realization, and what you're creating in the spiritual realm, because the spiritual realm is the energetic realm. Right. So, and then tapping, there's so many things out there. You can use tapping, which is EFT, emotional freedom technique, and you can start clearing your energy system, releasing any old tech, any old thoughts and experiences that are not serving you anymore. So you have to be proactive. If you're ready for change, you can't wait. This is not Cinderella. This is not Snow White. I wish it was, because boy, my life would be so different. Right? I wish it was. You have to be proactive. You are your knight in shining armor. It's you that you've been waiting for. So you have to jump on the back of that pretty white horse or the black stallion, whichever you prefer, right? Black horses matter too, right?
Yes, they do.
You have to jump on that horse and you have to get to where you need to get to. One book I highly recommend, especially in the beginning, and it may blow your mind, but I think it's the best way I've ever seen the description of the energetic world work, was in Dr. Joe Dispenza's book. It's called Becoming, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, right? I think it was his very first book. He's had several since, like Becoming Supernatural. But in that book, he really talks about how the energetic world works. And prior to that book, I understood quantum physics and metaphysics and all the stuff that we're talking about right now, but I'd never heard it explained so succinctly and so clearly in the way that Dr. Joe Dispenza did in that book, where I feel that an everyday person who's just coming into understanding this stuff, that it's not just woo woo, oh yeah, there's woo woo people always talking about energy and
Right.
like it actually makes it like, oh, this is real. And so if you're ever skeptical or you're ever unsure, you just don't get it, read that book and see if it kind of sheds some light. Because here's how I see this whole thing about personal development. It's the worst thing that can happen. So you do some visualization, you do some realization, excuse me, you do some affirmations, you work with a mentor, you change your thoughts. I mean, it can't hurt you. So why not spend some time trying some of this stuff out, right? What's the worst that can happen? You actually excel your success. You actually start moving forward. I mean, if someone tells me there's something that may benefit me, I'm not just gonna say, oh, I don't believe in that stuff. I'm actually gonna say, well, you know what? Let me give that a try and see before I make the judgment. I remember Jack Canfield telling a story about a man who had a person say to him, hey, listen, you should be a vegan because veganism is awesome. I feel so great. My body's feeling so healthy since I became a vegan. The man was like, oh, get out of here. I don't believe in that vegan stuff. That's ridiculous. And then he suddenly thought, well, what if I actually tried it before I just shunned it? And for 30 days, he became a vegan, and he said he just felt so much better. His energy was through the roof. And from that point on, he made a decision that before he just poo-pooed anything and just dismissed it as, oh, that's something I don't believe in, he would try it for at least 30 days. And he said, since he made that decision, his life has just elevated so much, because instead of being in a box and closed-minded, he opened himself up to many, many things that were out there and really gave them a shot. So I say to do the work, learn about what's out there, the tools that you can use. There's emotional freedom technology that I do with people. There is clearing spiritual blocks. There's affirmations, realization, so many things that you can use to start rebuilding who you are and creating yourself into exactly who you want to be. You don't have to blow with the wind. You do not have to just take life as it comes and whatever happens, just try and manage it. You can be proactive and you can create the life that you want. Many, many people have done it before you, and they're no different from you. They're people who have been rock bottom of life, who have been able to transform their lives through using their tools. And if they can do it, anybody can do it.
I I freaking love this. This is so incredible. All the amazing advice from this tips, the step-by-step instructions, the book suggestion, and folks, we'll get that book linked up in the show notes for you so you can get a copy of that and check that out as well. But just everything, right? You can do it, folks. The energy that Tasha is giving out right now, I hope you're feeling it. I'm feeling it. I feel it absolutely incredible. And you can do this. You can, if you want to improve your life, if you want to elevate yourself, you can do it. There's so many tools out there. There are coaches, there are people to help you. I know I do my stuff, but Tasha, you coach people as well, as you said. How can people learn more about you and get to work with you and,
Yes.
follow your amazing energy?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for asking. Well, I am actually, as you know, in the process of rebuilding my website, which is at tashadanvers.com, but people can still reach me at info@tashadanvers.com. And if you want to see where I am on social media, I tend to kind of be on Instagram more than I am anywhere else, but you can go to www.tasha, my name, TASHA, 360.com. So www.tasha360.com. And that's where, and if there's anything that's going on, if I have websites, if I have social media, that's my hub where you can connect with me in any way. I'm actually starting, I don't know when this is coming out, but on September 1st, I'm starting a 30-day manifestation challenge. So it's kind of my beta test. I want to try putting certain things together in a package and see how it works for people. So I'm starting that on September 1st. So if this is coming out before then, if anyone wants to jump in, you're more than welcome to reach out to me and find out more about that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And so, folks, check her out. Go to Tasha360, connect with her in the best way possible, and go jump on her mastermind, her groups, her everything that she has. I have gotten to know her over the past couple months and have just fell in love. So, Tasha, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your energy with all of us and helping us live an Olympic lifestyle. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you so much, and just want to know and honor you for creating this space for people to learn and grow. It doesn't go amiss with me. I really appreciate, because I understand the work that goes into creating something like this and doing it on a consistent and regular basis. So I'm sure from everyone out there, and especially from me, thank you for having me, and thank you for creating this space for others to elevate their lives.
Thank,
Truly.
thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Folks, if you like this episode, please let us know. Just write a comment, share it out on social media, tag Tasha in it, tag me in it, and let us know what you think about this episode. And don't forget to subscribe and all that good stuff. And until next time, folks, go do some personal development, grow, get more energy. And until next time, we will catch you all later.